I thought I'd retire by the beach. Instead, I live in a tent by the highway. My name is Dennis. I'm 59. I pulled wire through buildings for 37 years, union card in my wallet, beach town condo in my head. Last year I had a house with a mortgage I could almost cover. Then my wife left. Work dried up. Pride kept me from asking for help. I told myself I could fix it. One good night, one lucky break. I walked into that bright room with $18,000 and a plan. 2 hours later, I'd touched $42,000. It felt like the universe paying me back. 90 minutes after that, I had nothing. Not even cab fare home. I didn't lose my house to the bank. I lost it to a feeling I couldn't let go of. Now I sleep on cold ground, listen to semis all night, and carry everything I own in one bag. The hardest part? I still remember that moment when 42,000 sat in front of me and the world seemed fixable. When a man bets his future on one more hand. What's left when the cards turn cold? The air brakes woke me before dawn. That hissing metallic scream, 18-wheelers downshifting on the 405, had become my alarm clock. I opened my eyes inside the tent and saw condensation beating on the nylon ceiling, backlit orange by the streetlights from the Home Depot parking lot 50 yards away. My lower back felt like someone had driven a nail through the spine. Cold ground, even with the sleeping bag, even in September. 59 years old, and I was waking up to semi-trucks and damp fabric walls. That I'm Dennis Mora. Used to be a union electrician. 37 years pulling wire through commercial buildings, high-rises, hospital retrofits. The kind of work that paid well and broke your body in installments. I had a plan. Not a complicated one. Just a modest condo in Oceanside or Carlsbad, something with a view of the water, mornings walking the pier with coffee. The kind of retirement you earn after decades of crawling through attics in 100-degree heat, after your knees go bad and your hands start shaking from nerve damage. That was the deal I made with myself. Work hard, save smart, finish clean. Instead, I'm here. Tent pitched on a strip of dead grass between the highway and a parking lot. 8 months now. 243 nights, if I'm counting right. I am counting. That's the thing. I remember every one. I sat up slow, letting my back adjust. The tent was a Coleman, Four Season. Bought it at Big Five for $139 on a credit card I knew I'd never pay off. Dark green, fits 2 people if they like each other. I was alone. Around me, I could hear the camp waking up, someone coughing, the rattle of a shopping cart, a radio playing low in Spanish. We were maybe 40 tents scattered through the brush along the access road. Not an official camp. No services, no bathrooms, just a place the city hadn't cleared yet. I unzipped the flap and crawled out, knees popping. The sky was that pre-dawn gray, stars fading but sun not up yet. Coolest part of the day. I could see Carlos already moving, 2 tents over. He was a can collector, always up early to hit his routes before the trucks came. Across from him, Sherry's shopping cart sat like a monument, piled with clothes and blankets and things only she understood the value of. Her tent flap was still closed. I stood and stretched, felt something crack in my hip. My clothes, jeans, a Carhartt shirt, work boots with the sole coming loose, were the same ones I'd worn yesterday. Same ones I'd wear tomorrow. I had 2 other shirts in the duffel bag inside the tent, both dirty. Laundromat was 4 miles away and cost $8 for wash and dry. $8 was 2 meals if I was smart about it. The thing people don't tell you about being homeless is how much of your brain goes to math. Constant calculations. How many days until the food bank opens? How many miles you can walk before your feet blister? How to stretch $3 across 16 hours. It never stops. Even when you sleep, part of you is counting. I reached back into the tent and pulled out my duffel, canvas, olive green, U.S. Navy stenciled on the side, even though I'd never served. Bought it at a surplus store 20 years ago. Inside, 2 shirts, a pair of socks with holes, a plastic bag with my electrician's license and social security card, and a phone that hadn't worked in 4 months. No charger, no plan, just a dead black rectangle I kept anyway because throwing it away felt like admitting something. At the bottom of the duffel, wrapped in a t-shirt, was my union jacket. Local 441. My name embroidered on the chest. I'd lost it in a sweep 3 weeks ago. Cops came threw everything in the sanitation trucks, but I kept thinking about it. That jacket was proof. Proof I'd been someone. I pulled out the shirt that smelled least and changed, turning away from the camp even though no one was watching. Modesty was a reflex I hadn't lost yet. Then I rolled up the sleeping bag, stuffed it in the tent, zipped everything tight. You learned fast not to leave anything valuable outside. Valuable was a relative term now. A half roll of toilet paper was valuable. A lighter that worked was valuable. Miguel's tent was 15 feet to my left, blue nylon, bigger than mine. I heard him moving inside. Miguel used to be a sous chef at a hotel restaurant downtown. 2 years out here. He had a camp stove, cooked sometimes, shared when he could. Good guy. Better at this than me. The sun was starting to edge up, turning the sky pink. I could smell exhaust and dirt and something sour I couldn't name. Traffic was building on the highway, that constant white noise you stopped hearing after a while. The Home Depot wouldn't open for 3 hours. The AM/PM was a half-mile walk. I needed to use a bathroom. Needed to wash my face. Needed to look like a person before the day started. Carlos walked past, nodded. Van's coming at 9, he said. Church van. Free breakfast. Oatmeal and toast, sometimes eggs if you got there early. Yeah, I said. Maybe. I didn't want to see the volunteers. Not the new ones who looked at you like a project, and definitely not the ones who'd been there long enough to remember when I first showed up. Back when I still looked like I might figure it out. The AM/PM was on the corner of Main and Industrial. A squat building with bars on the windows and a gas pump island that always smelled like spilled diesel. I walked there along the shoulder, cars whipping past close enough to feel the wind. No sidewalk. This part of town wasn't built for people on foot. Inside, the fluorescent lights hit hard. Too bright. The kind of light that shows every crack. A kid was working the counter, maybe 20, nose in his phone. He looked up when I walked in, and I saw his expression shift. Not scared. Not disgusted. Just aware. The look you give someone when you're deciding whether to say something. I nodded at him, kept moving toward the back. The bathroom key was attached to a wooden block the size of a brick, hanging on a hook behind the counter. You had to ask for it. That was the humiliation tax. Bathroom, I said. The kid looked at me for a beat. You gotta buy something. This was new. Last week there'd been a different clerk, an older woman who just handed it over. I'm buying, I said. Just need to use it first. He shook his head. Policy. Purchase first. I had $1.70 in my pocket. Enough for a coffee, barely. I pulled out the bills, smoothed them on the counter. The kid rang it up, poured the coffee into a small cup, handed me the bathroom key. The wood was warm from hanging under the lights. The bathroom was around the side of the building, outside door, metal handle. I unlocked it and stepped in. The smell hit first, piss and bleach and something chemical. The light was a single bulb, flickering. Sink was small, no soap in the dispenser. Just a pink, empty cartridge. Mirror above it. Cracked in the corner. I set the coffee on the edge of the sink and looked at myself. Hadn't done that in a while. Not on purpose. My face was thinner than I remembered. Cheekbones showing. Beard coming in patchy and gray, mostly gray. Eyes looked older. Not just the lines, something else. Something missing. I used to look at myself and see a guy who had it together. Union card, steady work, a mortgage. Now I just saw someone tired. I turned on the water, let it run until it was lukewarm. Splashed my face, scrubbed with my hands. No soap, but the water helped. I wet my hair, ran my fingers through it, tried to flatten it down. Looked at my teeth in the mirror. Yellowing, one molar cracked on the left side. I'd been ignoring that for a year. No insurance. No dentist. Just low-grade pain I'd learned to live with. Behind me, someone banged on the door. Hurry up. A voice yelled. I dried my hands on my jeans, picked up the coffee, unlocked the door. A guy in a truck driver's vest was waiting, arms crossed. He looked at me, stepped aside without a word. I walked past him, handed the key back to the kid at the counter. Outside, I leaned against the wall and drank the coffee. It was bad, burnt, bitter, but it was hot. I watched the cars pulling in and out of the gas pumps. People grabbing breakfast sandwiches, energy drinks, cigarettes. Everyone moving like they had somewhere to be. I thought about the last time I'd been somewhere. Really been somewhere, with a reason and a destination. The last morning in my house. 3-bedroom in Riverside, stucco exterior, tile roof, a yard with a lemon tree that never produced much. I'd stood in the bathroom that morning, shaving, looking at the same mirror I'd looked at for 15 years. Linda's stuff was already gone. She'd moved out 6 months earlier, but the house still felt like ours. Our mortgage. Our mistake. The realtor was coming at 10 for the final walkthrough. The bank had taken it back, but there were papers to sign, keys to hand over. I'd shaved carefully that morning, put on a clean shirt, acted like it mattered that I remembered the exact number. $2,340 a month. That's what the mortgage was. After Linda left, I thought I could handle it. Union jobs were steady, or they had been. But then the calls stopped coming. Contractors going with younger guys, cheaper bids, non-union labor. I picked up side work, gig stuff, but it wasn't enough. 2 months behind. For months. 6. The letters came. The phone calls. I ignored them. Kept thinking I'd catch up. Kept thinking something would break my way. It didn't. I finished the coffee, tossed the cup in the trash. My phone was dead, but I knew what time it was by the traffic. Maybe 7:30. Church van at 9. 3 more hours of morning to fill. I started walking back toward camp, along the shoulder, cars rushing past. Miguel was outside his tent when I got back, crouched over his camp stove. He had a pot going, something that smelled like instant oatmeal and cinnamon. He looked up when I walked over. "Coffee?" he asked, nodding at a dented percolator beside the stove. "Already had some," I said. "Thanks." He stirred the pot, steam rising. Miguel was maybe 50, hard to tell. Brown skin, deep lines around his eyes, gray in his beard. He wore a heavy flannel even in the heat. He'd told me once he used to work downtown, hotel restaurant, fancy place. Didn't say how he ended up here. "You didn't ask." "Van's coming," he said. "Carlos mentioned it." "You going?" I shrugged. "Maybe." Miguel nodded, poured the oatmeal into a plastic bowl. He ate standing up, blowing on each spoonful. We didn't talk. The silence was comfortable. One of the few things that was. When he finished, he rinsed the bowl with water from a jug, set it aside. "You okay?" He asked that. I didn't know how to answer that. I wasn't okay, but I was standing. That was something. "Yeah," I said. "I'm good." Miguel looked at me for a moment, then nodded. He didn't believe me, but he let it go. By 8:30, I was walking again. Couldn't sit still. Couldn't stay in camp with the church van coming and the volunteers who'd want to talk. I headed east, no plan, just moving. The day labor site was about 4 miles out, past the industrial park, near a construction supply warehouse. I'd heard about it from Carlos. Contractors came through in the morning, picked up workers for cash jobs. Roofing, demo, landscaping. Sometimes electrical, if you were lucky. I wasn't feeling lucky. But I needed to try. The walk took an hour. My boots were coming apart at the sole, flapping with each step. Blister forming on my left heel. I kept going. The sun was up now, heat building, and I was sweating through my shirt by the time I got there. The site was a dirt lot next to the warehouse, maybe 30 guys standing around. Mostly younger, 20s, 30s. A few older like me, but not many. Everyone had the same look. Waiting. Hoping. Trying not to look desperate, even though we all were. I found a spot near the back, leaned against a chain-link fence. A white pickup rolled through, slowed down. Guy in a Dodgers cap leaning out the window. "Need 2 for demo," he yelled. Strong backs. $8 an hour. Hands went up. The guy pointed at 2 young guys near the front. They jogged over, climbed in the bed. The truck pulled away. I waited. Another truck came, then another. Landscaping crew. Drywall. Nobody looked at me. I was too old, too slow, too obviously sleeping rough. You could see it in the clothes, the way I stood, the lack of a phone to give a callback number. I was invisible in the wrong way. By 10 o'clock, I'd been passed over 6 times. My back was aching from standing. The sun was high, no shade. Most of the younger guys had been picked up. Just a handful of us left. The rejects. A guy next to me lit a cigarette, offered me one. I shook my head. He shrugged. "Slow day," he said. "Yeah. You union?" "Was," I said. "Electrician." "No shit." He looked interested. "Local?" 441. He nodded, impressed. "That's good work." "What happened?" I didn't want to get into it. "Between jobs," I said. That he didn't push. Took a drag, exhaled. "They don't pick us old guys much," he said. "Want the young bucks who can lift all day." "Yeah. I'm Carlos," he said. Different Carlos. Not the can collector. Dennis. We stood there, smoking his cigarette between us. Another truck came through, a contractor rig, nice setup. Guy in the passenger seat looked out, scanned the crowd. His eyes passed over me, kept going. The truck rolled away. By 11, I gave up. Started the walk back. For miles. My feet were killing me. The blister had popped. I could feel it wet inside my boot. I stopped at a Quick Trip halfway, Went inside for the air conditioning. The place was busy. Lunch rush. People grabbing sandwiches, sodas, chips. I walked the aisles, pretending to browse. The cold air felt good. I didn't have money for food. Had maybe $2 left from the coffee. But I could stand here. Look at things. Be inside for a few minutes. I stopped in front of the sandwiches. Pre-made, wrapped in plastic. Turkey and Swiss. Ham and cheddar. Chicken salad. For 99 each. My stomach made a noise. I picked one up. Turkey. Felt the weight. Thought about putting it in my jacket, walking out. How easy it would be. A kid's stocking shelves glanced at me. I set the sandwich down. Kept walking. Near the register, a rack of lottery tickets. Scratchers. Bright colors, promises of instant cash. $5, $10, 20. I looked at them for a long time. Then I walked outside. Stood in the parking lot, heat radiating off the asphalt. I was about to leave when I saw it. A $20 bill, folded, sitting near the front tire of a Honda Civic. Just lying there. I looked around. No one watching. I walked over, picked it up, unfolded it. Andrew Jackson, real as anything. $20. I should have bought food. Should have walked straight to the taqueria down the block, gotten 2 breakfast burritos, maybe save the rest. That's what I should have done. Instead, I stood there holding that 20, and all I could think about was the 7-Eleven 2 blocks away. The one with the scratch-off machine. The one where I'd been before. I started walking. The 7-Eleven had the scratch-offs behind the counter, organized by price. $1, $2, $5, $10, $20. I stood there looking at them like I was reading a menu I'd memorized. The clerk was a young woman, maybe mid-20s, dark hair pulled back. Her name tag said Vanessa. Help you? She asked. 2 tens, I said. The words came out automatic. She pulled 2 tickets from the dispenser, slid them across the counter. 20 even. I handed her the bill. She gave me a penny. I took the tickets and a penny from the dish by the register, moved to the side counter by the window. My hands were shaking a little. I told myself it was low blood sugar. The first ticket was called Cash Explosion. I used the penny to scratch off the silver coating. Reveal 3 matching symbols. Win that amount. I scratched slowly, making it last. A $, a star, a 7. Nothing matched. The second ticket was Lucky Diamonds. Same concept, different pictures. I scratched faster this time. Diamond, diamond, club. Nothing. I stood there holding 2 worthless pieces of cardboard. $20 gone in 90 seconds. I looked at the penny in my hand. Looked at the scratch-off display behind the counter. You okay? Vanessa was watching me. Yeah, I said. Fine. But I wasn't fine. I was thinking about the $10 I should still have. About the breakfast burritos. About how the 20 was supposed to be luck, a gift, something good for once. And I'd turned it into trash. Vanessa's expression shifted. Not quite pity, but close. She'd seen me before. I remembered now. 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. I bought a ticket then too. Lost then too. Take care of yourself, she said. Soft. Like she meant it. I nodded, couldn't look at her. Walked out into the heat. The sun was directly overhead now. I stood on the sidewalk, empty-handed except for the penny. My stomach was cramping. I hadn't eaten since yesterday's church van breakfast. There was a taqueria 3 blocks away. I had 1 penny. Not enough for anything. Not enough for water. I started walking. Not toward camp. Not toward anywhere. Just walking. Trying to outrun the feeling in my chest. That familiar mix of shame and anger, and the worst part, already thinking about the next time. The next 20. The next ticket. The next chance. When I finally stopped, I was behind the taqueria, sitting on a curb in the delivery alley. I reached into my jacket pocket for nothing, and felt paper. I pulled it out. A printed email. Library paper, the cheap kind. I'd forgotten it was there. The paper was folded into quarters, edges soft from being carried. I opened it. The email was from Gloria, my sister, 3 weeks old, dated at the top in that automatic way, September 3rd, for 4:47 p.m. Dennis, it started. No, dear. Just my name. I can't do this anymore. Frank says if you contact me again, he's changing the locks. He means it this time. I love you, but I can't watch you do this to yourself. I can't choose between you and my marriage. I already chose. I'm sorry. Please don't write back. Please get help. Gee, I read it twice. Then a third time. The words didn't change. I'd printed this at the library 3 weeks ago. Used my last 20 minutes of computer time to check email, saw Gloria's message, printed it because my phone was dead and I needed to keep it somehow. Then I'd folded it up and put it in my pocket and hadn't looked at it since. Couldn't look at it because I knew what it would say. Gloria raised me. Our mother died when I was 12 and Gloria was 15. She made dinner, made sure I did homework, signed permission slips. When I got my electrician's license, she was the first person I called. When I bought my first truck, she co-signed the loan. When I married Linda, Gloria cried during the ceremony. Happy tears. After Linda left and the house went into foreclosure, Gloria let me stay on her couch. 3 months. Her place in Riverside, 2-bedroom apartment, her and Frank and me. Frank worked at a warehouse, swing shift. He'd come home at midnight, and I'd pretend to be asleep on the couch. Could feel him looking at me. Could feel the resentment. One night, I came back late. I'd been at a card room in Commerce, lost 200 on Pai Gao. Came back at 2 a.m., drunk enough to fumble the key. Frank was awake, sitting at the kitchen table in the dark. "You gotta go," he said. "She's choosing you over her marriage. That's not fair to her." I left the next morning. Gloria cried. Didn't try to stop me. That was 5 months ago. I'd emailed her a few times from the library, told her I was figuring it out, getting back on my feet. She'd responded once, twice. Then I folded the paper, put it back in my pocket. Sat there in the alley behind the taqueria, smelling fryer grease and old garbage. My sister was done with me. My ex-wife was in Arizona with a new husband. My house was gone. My union card didn't matter without a phone or an address. I pulled the paper out again. Read the last line. "Please get help." Help from who? I'd burned everyone. There was no one left. A police cruiser rolled slowly past the mouth of the alley. I recognized the officer, young guy, buzz cut, mirrored sunglasses. He'd been at the last sweep, throwing tints into the sanitation truck. He looked at me. I looked back. The cruiser kept going. I stood up. Started walking back to camp. Needed to warn people. I half ran the last mile to camp, feet screaming in the broken boots. Carlos saw me coming, read my face. "Cops," he said. "Maybe." Saw one circling. Word spread fast. Carlos started breaking down his tent, quick and practiced. Sherry appeared from somewhere, pushing her cart in a panic. Miguel came out, assessed the situation, started packing his essentials into a backpack. "Help me," Sherry said. She was trying to collapse her shopping cart, but her hands were shaking too hard. I grabbed the handle, pushed down on the release, folded it. "Get into the trees," I said. "Quick." She nodded, dragged the cart into the brush. I helped Carlos carry his rolled tent deeper into the vegetation. Miguel was already gone, backpack on, tent half collapsed and hidden behind a dumpster. We waited. 20 minutes. An hour. The sun moved across the sky. No cops came. False alarm. Or maybe the cruiser had just been passing through. Either way, we were safe. For now. By evening, everyone had drifted back. We didn't bother setting up completely. Just enough to sleep. The energy was wrong. Fear did that. Made you realize how little you had, how fast it could vanish. Miguel got his camp stove going, heated a can of soup. Chicken noodle. He poured it into 2 cups, handed me one. "Thanks," I said. We sat on the ground, sipping soup. It was watery, mostly broth, but it was warm. The sun was setting, sky going orange and purple. Traffic noise from the highway never stopped. "How long you been out here?" Miguel asked. 8 months. He nodded. 2 years for me. "How'd you?" I stopped. "You didn't ask," but Miguel answered anyway. "Sous chef. Hotel downtown. Good job." Then my wife left. Started drinking. A lot. Lost the job. Lost the apartment. Tried living in the parking lot behind the kitchen. They found me. Fired me officially. He took a sip of soup. "Been here ever since." "I'm sorry," I said. "Yeah." He looked at me. "What about you?" I thought about lying. Making it sound like bad luck, circumstances, anything but the truth. But sitting there with soup in my hands, after the scratch-offs and Gloria's email and the cops circling, I was too tired to lie. "Casino," I said. "Lost my savings. All of it. One night." Miguel didn't react. Just nodded. "Pechanga." "Yeah. I know guys who went there. Some came back. Some didn't." "I came back," I said. "Just didn't have anywhere to come back to." We finished the soup in silence. The sky darkened. Someone's radio played quiet music in Norteña. Sherry's cart rattled as she rearranged things in the near dark. Miguel stood, stretched. "There's meetings," he said. "At a church. Tuesdays and Thursdays. AA. And GA, Gamblers Anonymous. Same building, different room." He looked at me. I go to the AA once. For months sober. That's good, I said. You should come. Maybe. I said we both knew I wouldn't. Morning came cold. I woke up alone. Miguel had already left. His tent was gone. For a second I panicked. Thought there'd been a sweep I'd slept through. Then I saw the note weighted down with a rock near where his tent had been. Riverbed camp. Safer. You know where. I picked up the note, folded it, put it in my pocket with Gloria's email. 2 pieces of paper. 2 people who'd left. I packed my stuff. Sleeping bag. The duffel. What little I had left. Took it all with me. Didn't trust leaving anything anymore. Walked the 3 miles to the public library. The library opened at 9. I was there at 8:50, waiting with a handful of others. Homeless, mostly. You could tell. We all had that same look. That same careful way of taking up space. The doors opened. I went straight to the computers, signed in for my hour. The librarian, an older woman with reading glasses on a chain, didn't make eye contact. That was fine. I didn't need her to see me that I logged into Facebook. Hadn't checked it in months. The library computers were slow, everything loading in pieces. I searched for Linda. Linda Mora. Except she wasn't Mora anymore. Linda Castellanos. Her profile picture showed her smiling, arm around a man I didn't recognize. Gray hair, nice smile, polo shirt. A golden retriever sat at their feet. The photo looked recent. Happy that I scrolled through her posts. Pictures of Arizona. Sunset over mountains. The dog at a park. Her and the man, Robert, someone called him in the comments, at a restaurant. An anniversary post from 2 months ago. 1 year with this amazing man. 1 year. She'd remarried 1 year ago. 14 months after our divorce was final. I kept scrolling. Found a post from 6 months back. A photo of a vacant lot, dirt and construction equipment. Drove past our old house today, she'd written. They tore it down for a new development. End of an era. Our house. Gone. Not just foreclosed and sold. Demolished. Erased. I stared at the photo. Tried to remember where the bedroom window had been, where the lemon tree stood. Couldn't place it. Just dirt now. I clicked back to her profile. Thought about sending a message. Typing something. I'm glad you're happy, or I'm sorry, or I'm still here. But my fingers wouldn't move. The computer time ticked down. 40 minutes left. I opened a job search site. Typed electrician. Dozens of listings. All required a phone number. A permanent address. References. I had none of those things. I tried anyway. Filled out 3 applications. Got to the contact information section each time and stopped. Put the library's address. Left the phone number blank. Knew they'd never call. 20 minutes left. I opened my email. 1 new message. From Gloria, 3 weeks old. The one I'd already printed. I clicked it, read it again on the screen. Please don't write back. I hit reply anyway. Stared at the blank space. Typed, I'm sorry. Deleted it. Typed, I'm trying. Deleted it. Typed, I miss you. Deleted it. Closed the email. 10 minutes left. A security guard walked past. Young guy, badge on his belt. He slowed when he saw me, kept walking. I'd been here too long before. Knew he was watching. I logged out. Stood. The guard was at the end of the aisle. Time to move along, he said. Not mean. Just firm. Yeah, I said. Going. I walked out into the morning heat. Stood on the sidewalk, duffel over my shoulder. Didn't know where to go. Library was done. Camp was scattered. Miguel was gone. I started walking. No direction. Just a way. I ended up at a McDonald's. Bought a small coffee for $1.60, sat in a booth by the window. Nursed it for 3 hours. The manager, a guy named Tony with a thin mustache and tired eyes, came by twice. First time he wiped a table near me. Second time he stopped. Can I get you anything else? He asked. No, thanks. He hesitated. Look, man. People are complaining. About the smell. I gotta ask you to go. The smell. I hadn't noticed it anymore. But I knew what he meant. Sweat and dirt and sleeping rough. The smell of not having anywhere to shower. Yeah, I said. Okay. I stood up, took my duffel. Walked out. Didn't look back. Outside, the heat was building. Near 90 already. I walked without thinking, ended up at a Home Depot. Not the one near camp. A different one, across town. Bigger. I stood outside for a minute, then walked in through the contractor entrance. Old habit. Inside was cool. Air-conditioned. Bright. I walked the aisles like I had a purpose. Past lumber. Past paint. Stopped in the electrical section. Wire spools on the wall. Romex, THHN, conduit. Breaker boxes. Junction boxes. Switches and outlets organized by amperage. I reached out, touched a spool of 12-gauge wire. The plastic coating was smooth, familiar. I used to order this by the 1,000-foot spool. My electrician's license was still valid. I checked it last week, sitting in the tent. Expiration date, March next year. Photo from 3 years ago. I looked human in that photo. Clean-shaven. Eyes that focused. I'd been proud of that license. Passed the exam when I was 22. Journeyman at 25. 37 years in the trade. All gone now. Can I help you find something? A kid in an orange apron, maybe 19. Name tag, said Brandon. No, I said. Just looking. He nodded, but didn't leave. I could feel him watching, waiting for me to steal something or break down or leave. I was contaminating his aisle just by standing there. I walked out. Through the contractor entrance, back into the heat. Stood in the parking lot, duffel at my feet. Looked at the building. Help wanted sign in the window. I walked back in. Found Brandon. Who do I talk to about the job? He blinked. The sign? That's for overnight stock. You gotta talk to Brenda. Assistant manager. She's in the office. He pointed. I walked there. Knock. Yeah. A woman's voice. I opened the door. She was at a desk, maybe 45, blonde hair pulled back, reading glasses low on her nose. Brenda, according to her name tag. I'm here about the overnight position, I said. She looked up, looked at me. I saw her take it in. The clothes, the duffel, the situation. Have a seat, she said. I sat. The office was small, crowded with filing cabinets and posted schedules. Brenda pulled out a form, clicked a pen. Name, Dennis Mora. Address. I hesitated. I'm between places right now. She looked up. Our eyes met. She understood. Phone number. Don't have one currently. She set the pen down. Leaned back. I need both for the system. Corporate requirement. Can't process an application without them. Right, I said. Started to stand. Hold on. She opened a drawer, pulled out a card. There's a shelter. St. Vincent's. They do intake, help with placement. If you go through them, get a bed, they can provide an address and message service. Then you come back, we can talk. I took the card. I tried a shelter before. Didn't work out. Why not? The rules. The lottery for beds. People stealing your stuff. I stopped. It was worse than the street. She nodded slowly. I get it. But this job needs a contact point. I can't work around that. She paused. For what it's worth, you seem like you know your way around the store. I'd hire you if I could. Thanks, I said. Really? Take that card. Try St. Vincent's. If you get situated, come back. I'll do what I can. I left with the card in my hand. Walked out through the garden section, past the plants and fertilizer. The card had an address, a phone number, hours. Intake 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. I'd been there before. 5 months ago, right after I left Gloria's. Waited in line for 3 hours. Got told the wait list was 6 weeks. Left before they could take my information, but Brenda had been kind. First person in weeks to look at me like a person. Maybe that meant something. I walked. Miles. Didn't count. Ended up in a neighborhood I didn't recognize. Nice houses. Lawns. Cars and driveways. I kept walking until I found the street I was looking for. My old street. The house was gone. I'd seen the photo on Linda's Facebook, but seeing it in person was different. The lot was empty. Graded flat. Fresh concrete foundation poured. Rebar sticking up. They were building something new. Something bigger than what we'd had. I stood on the sidewalk across the street. Tried to remember where things had been. The bedroom window. The front door. The lemon tree. But it was all dirt now. All gone. A car slowed behind me. I turned. Police cruiser. The same young cop from yesterday. He rolled down his window. You live here? He asked. Used to, I said. Not anymore though. No. You need to move along, he said. Not aggressive. Just clear. Yeah, I said. I'm going. He waited until I started walking. Then he drove past, slow, watching in his mirror. I walked back toward camp. Took 2 hours. By the time I got there, the sun was setting. I came around the access road, through the brush. My tent was gone. The space where my tent had been was empty. Just flattened grass and dirt. Tire tracks from a truck. Scattered trash. I stood there, duffel in hand, trying to process it. Carlos's tent, gone. Sherry's cart, gone. Miguel's spot was already empty, but now everyone else was cleared out too. They came an hour ago. A voice behind me. I turned. A guy I didn't know, younger, sitting against a tree. Cops and sanitation. Threw everything in the trucks. My tent, all of it, man. Everyone's stuff. They swept the whole camp. I walked through the space, looking for anything. My sleeping bag, gone. The tent, gone. My extra clothes. The tools I'd kept hidden. The photos of Linda I'd saved from the house. My Union jacket with the card in the pocket. All gone. Sherry was sitting on the ground near where her cart had been, crying. Just sitting there, crying. Carlos was standing alone, looking at nothing. The other guy, the one who'd told me, shrugged. Some people went to the riverbed. Some went to the shelter. I'm sleeping under the overpass tonight. I felt something break inside. Not dramatic. Just a quiet crack. The tent had been nothing. Nylon and poles. But it had been mine. It had been shelter. Now I had a duffel bag. The clothes on my back. $3 in my pocket. And Brenda's card that I sat down. Right there in the dirt where my tent had been. Put my head in my hands. You okay? Carlos asked that I didn't answer. Didn't know the answer. I'm going to the riverbed, he said. Miguel's there. It's safer. Cops don't sweep as much. You should come. Maybe, I said. Dennis. Carlos crouched beside me. You can't stay here. There's nothing left. He was right. But I couldn't move. Couldn't think past the weight in my chest. Everything I'd managed to keep. Gone in an afternoon because I'd walked away for a few hours. Sherry stopped crying. Stood up. Started walking toward the street. No cart. No possessions. Just walking. Carlos watched her go, then looked at me. I'm leaving in the morning. Dawn. You should come. Miguel said there's room. Okay, I said. Just to say something. Carlos left. The other guy left. I sat there as the sun went down, as the light faded, as the highway noise became the only sound. I pulled out my duffel, unzipped it. 2 dirty shirts. Socks with holes. My dead phone. The plastic bag with my license and social security card, and Brenda's card. St. Vincent's Shelter. I looked at it in the fading light. Memorized the address. Then I looked at the empty space around me, the flattened grass, the place where my tent had been. I had a choice. Follow Carlos to the riverbed. Start over somewhere else. Or take the card seriously. I thought about Gloria's email. Please get help. I thought about Brenda. Come back if you get situated. I thought about Miguel. For months sober. Going to meetings. And I thought about the scratch-offs. The $20. The feeling I couldn't shake. I stood up. Shouldered the duffel. Started walking. Not toward the riverbed. Toward the street. Toward tomorrow. Toward whatever came next. Because staying here, in the empty space where everything used to be, wasn't an option anymore. Miguel's tent was bigger than mine had been. Blue nylon, 6-person capacity, set up proper with stakes and a rain fly. But with 2 grown men inside, it felt like a closet. We lay on our backs, heads at opposite ends, feet almost touching in the middle. The riverbed camp was quieter than the highway spot. Just water moving and occasional voices from other tents scattered through the trees. Can't sleep? Miguel asked. No, me neither. Traffic sounds felt far away here. Different kind of silence. Not peaceful exactly, but less violent. Miguel shifted, his sleeping bag rustling. How'd it happen? He asked. The casino thing. I told him the basics. But not the whole story. No one knew the whole story. My wife left, I said. House went into foreclosure. I stayed with my sister for a while, but that fell apart. Had some money left. Not much. Maybe $18,000 from the equity and my 401k. That's something. It was everything, I said. Last bit of anything I had. I kept thinking if I could just multiply it somehow, I could start over right. Get an apartment. Get ahead of things. So you went to Pechanga? Yeah, Tuesday afternoon. Told myself I was just going to play a few hands. Clear my head. I'd always been good at blackjack. Birthday trips with Linda, never more than $200. Always walked away. Miguel was quiet, listening. But this time was different. I was desperate. And desperation changes the math. I played for 7 hours straight. Hit a hot streak. Got up to $42,000. Jesus. Yeah, $42,000. Sitting right there in front of me. I could see everything. New apartment. New truck. New life. The universe was finally paying me back for every bad break. But you kept playing. I kept playing. Told myself I'd stop at 50. Then 60. Then I'd just get back to 45. Then 40. Then I was chasing just to break even. 90 minutes later, it was all gone. The 18,000. The 42 I'd won. Then I used my credit card. 3,000 cash advance. Lost that too. Miguel exhaled slowly. What did you do after? Sat in my truck in the parking garage until dawn. Too ashamed to drive to Gloria's. Too broke for a motel. Didn't know where to go. So you came here. Eventually. Bought the tent first. Told myself it was temporary. It's always temporary, Miguel said. Until it's not. We lay there. Someone's radio played low, norteño music. A couple arguing in Spanish 3 tents over. I drank for 10 years, Miguel said. Every day? Thought I had it under control. Thought I could stop whenever I wanted. My wife begged me. Boss gave me chances. I pissed it all away. How'd you stop? Hit bottom. Woke up in a hospital. Pancreatitis. Doctor said next time would kill me. I've been sober 4 months now. Go to meetings at a church on Tuesdays and Thursdays. AA. Yeah. And they have GA, Gamblers Anonymous. Same building, different room, same time. He paused. You should come. I don't know. The meetings help. Not because they fix anything. Because you hear your story in other people's mouths. Makes it real. Makes you accountable. Maybe, I said. That's what we all say first. A dog barked somewhere in the camp. Footsteps passed close to the tent. Miguel's breathing slowed. Not quite sleep, but close. Tomorrow I'm moving my tent deeper in, he said. Better spot, more hidden. You can stay here tonight. But after that, you need to figure out your next move. I know. Riverbed's safer, but it's not a solution. It's just slower dying. I know. I said again, but I didn't know. Didn't know anything except that I was 59 years old, lying in someone else's tent, and every choice I'd made for 2 years had been wrong. Miguel's breathing evened out. He was asleep. I lay there in the dark, listening to water, thinking about $42,000. How real it felt. How close. How I could still see the chips stacked in front of me, still feel the weight of winning. That was the worst part. Not the losing. The remembering what winning felt like. The believing it could happen again. Morning came gray and damp. Fog off the riverbed. Miguel was already up, packing his tent with quick efficiency. I crawled out, joints cracking. Thanks for the space, I said. Yeah. He rolled his sleeping bag tight. You know where to find me if you need something. The shelter, I said. I'm going to try the shelter. He looked at me. Nodded. Good. St. Vincent's. Yeah. Patricia does intake. She's tough, but fair. Don't lie to her. She can smell bullshit. Okay. And Dennis. He paused, tent poles in his hands. The meetings. Tuesday and Thursday. 7 p.m. St. Mark's Church on 5th. You should come. Maybe. Maybe means no. But I'm saying it anyway. He finished packing, shouldered his bag. Good luck, man. You too. He walked deeper into the trees, toward wherever his better spot was. I watched him go, then picked up my duffel. Started walking toward town. St. Vincent's was on Broadway, brick building, cross above the door. I'd been here before, 5 months ago. Hadn't made it past the waiting room. This time I walked in, found the intake office. The waiting room was full. Families. Single men. A woman with 3 kids asleep on her lap. Everyone had that same exhausted look. That same careful way of existing in a space that wasn't yours. I signed in at the desk. A clipboard, a pen on a string. Name, time, reason for visit. I wrote, Dennis Mora, 8:47 a.m., housing. Take a seat, the receptionist said. Didn't look up. I sat. Waited. Watched people get called one by one. The woman with 3 kids went in. Came out 20 minutes later, crying. Not sad crying. Angry crying. She left, kids stumbling after her. Dennis Mora? I stood. Followed the voice, a woman in her 50s, heavy-set, gray hair, glasses on a chain. Her name tag said Patricia. Her office was small. Desk, 2 chairs, filing cabinets. Forms everywhere. She gestured to a chair. I sat her day. First time. She asked. Second. I was here 5 months ago. Wait list was 6 weeks. I left. She typed something into her computer. I don't see a record. I didn't finish the intake. Okay. She pulled out a form, clicked a pen. Name. Dennis Mora. Age. 59. Veteran. No. Disability. Bad back. Nothing official. Substance abuse. I hesitated. No. She looked at me over her glasses. Miguel was right. She could smell bullshit. Gambling, I said. I have a gambling problem. She wrote something down. Currently using? I buy scratch-offs sometimes. That's it. When was the last time? Yesterday. She nodded. Kept writing. The bed lottery happens at 4 p.m. every day. You show up, get in line, we draw numbers. 50 beds. If you get one, you're in for the night. If not, come back tomorrow. 50 beds for how many people? Depends on the day. Usually between 80 and 100. I did the math. 50-50 odds. Maybe worse. Wait list for permanent placement is 3 weeks minimum. Could be longer. You on any housing assistance? No. Income? Nothing regular. Last employment? Electrician. Union. Been out of work 8 months. She typed. Asked more questions. Medical history. Criminal record. Emergency contact. I had no emergency contact. Gloria didn't count anymore. Finally, she printed something, handed it to me. A meal voucher and a clothing ticket. Dining hall is downstairs. Open 11 to 1 for lunch. Clothes distribution is Wednesdays. Come back at 4 for bed lottery. That's it. That's it. You want more? You wait for placement. You want a bed tonight? You come back and hope. I took the voucher and ticket. Stood. Dennis, she said. I turned. The gambling. You need to address that. We have resources. Meeting lists. Counselors. Ask when you come back. Okay. I left. Went downstairs to the dining hall. Industrial kitchen, long tables, plastic chairs. The smell of institutional food. Vegetable soup. White bread. Coffee like motor oil. I ate fast. Couldn't stomach being there, surrounded by people who looked like me. People who'd made all the same mistakes. I finished and left, walked out into the fog. 4 p.m. 6 hours to kill. I started walking. I walked until I found myself on a college campus. Community college, sprawling in low-rise, stucco buildings, and concrete walkways. Students everywhere, carrying backpacks, riding bikes, looking purposeful. I didn't belong here. But no one stopped me. There was a building marked administration. I stood outside for 5 minutes, almost left twice, then walked in. The office was cool, fluorescent lights, bulletin boards covered in flyers. A man sat at a desk, 50s, Latino, kind eyes. His nameplate said Mr. Vasquez, counselor. Help you? He asked. The trade programs, I said. I saw a flyer. Electrician certification. His expression shifted. Interest. You're an electrician? Was. Union. Been out of work. Sit, he said. Pointed to a chair. Saturday he pulled out a brochure, slid it across the desk. 8-week refresher course. Free for unemployed residents. Covers code updates, safety standards, new technologies. Leads to an updated certification a lot of contractors look for. What's the catch? You need reliable transportation. And you have to pass a background check. I don't have transportation. And my credit's shot. He nodded slowly. Transportation we can help with. Bus passes through student services. The credit, what kind of issues? Max cards. Cash advance I didn't pay back. It might be flagged. For fraud. Maybe. I don't know. He leaned back. Credit check is just to verify identity. Unless there's criminal fraud charges, you're probably okay. But for emergency housing placement through the college, they do look at credit history. That might be a problem. Emergency housing. Some students qualify. If you're homeless, making progress in a program, showing up, doing the work, sometimes we can place you in transitional housing. But it's limited and competitive. I looked at the brochure. 8 weeks. Night classes. Electrical theory, practical labs, code compliance. I'm living in a tent, I said. Well, I was. Got swept yesterday. I'm trying for a shelter bed tonight. That's rough, he said. Not pity. Just acknowledgement. Can I still do the program? Yes. If you're willing to show up while you're dealing with everything else. It's not easy. Most people in your situation drop out. I won't drop out. He studied me. I believe you. You know why? Why? Because you came here. You asked. That's the hardest part. He opened a drawer, pulled out an application. I was homeless once. 7 years ago. Got clean through this program. Now I help run it. I looked at him differently. Saw the signs I'd missed. The care in how he spoke. The lack of judgment. Fill this out, he said. Bring it back by Friday. Orientation is 2 weeks from Monday. If the background check clears, you're in. I took the application, folded it carefully. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just show up. That's all I ask. I walked out into the afternoon sun. The application was in my hand, real and possible. First time in months something felt like a future tense instead of just survival. I found a bench, sat down. Filled out the application right there. Name, address. I put the shelter, previous education, work history. At the bottom, a question. Why are you applying for this program? I wrote, Because I need to remember who I was. Folded it. Put it in my duffel with care. The paper felt important. Like proof that IT was 2 o'clock. 2 hours until bed lottery. I walked back to St. Vincent's, found a spot on the curb outside. Waited. The next 2 weeks were a blur of lottery numbers and library computers and careful rationing. I got a bed 4 nights out of 14. The other nights I slept behind buildings, under overpasses, once in a laundromat that stayed open 24 hours until the owner kicked me out at dawn. The nights I got a bed, I followed the rules. Lights out at 9. Up at 6. No talking after curfew. You got a locker, a sheet, a thin pillow. You got a shower, 3 minutes with lukewarm water. You got breakfast if you made it to the dining hall by 7. The nights I didn't get a bed, I kept moving. Stayed awake as long as I could. Slept in 2-hour shifts when I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. Kept the duffel close. Never let go of it. On the 5th day, I found work. 2 days with a moving company, cash under the table. $10 an hour. The boss was a guy named Ray, ex-con with forearms like telephone poles. He didn't ask questions, just pointed at a truck and said load it. The first day was okay. Heavy lifting, furniture, boxes. My back complained but held. Muscle memory from decades of commercial work. At the end of the day, Ray handed me $80 cash. The second day broke me. We were moving a piano, upright, solid oak. 3 of us carried it down a flight of stairs. Halfway down, my back seized. Not pain, something deeper. A snap or tear or something fundamental giving way. I dropped my corner. The piano lurched. Ray caught it, cursed. You good? He asked. Yeah. I lied that we got the piano in the truck. Finished the move. But I couldn't straighten up. Couldn't stand without shooting pain down my left leg. Ray paid me for the day, 80 more, and told me not to come back, that I should have gone to the emergency room. Should have gotten checked. But that meant bills. Bills I'd never pay. Bills that would follow me. So I bought ibuprofen at a dollar store, took 4 pills, limped back to St. Vincent's for the bed lottery. Lost the lottery that night. Slept behind a Denny's, back spasming every time I shifted. Took 6 more ibuprofen at midnight. Knew I was taking too many. Didn't care. By day 10, the pain was manageable. Dull instead of sharp. I could walk without limping. Found the college again, used their bathroom to clean up. Found a locker room in the gym building, door propped open, showered fast before anyone noticed. Started using that locker even though I wasn't a student. Kept my duffel there. Kept Vasquez's application there, protected in plastic. The locker became my safe house. The one place I could stash things and trust they'd be there. Day 12, I used $30 from the moving job to buy 2 breakfast burritos. Ate 1. Saved 1. The next day, I bought laundry detergent, washed my clothes in a laundromat sink, dried them on the outside of my duffel while I walked. Day 14 was orientation. I showed up early. Shaved in an AM/PM bathroom. Wore my cleanest shirt. The one from the shelter clothing distribution, button down, only slightly too big. The orientation room was in the vocational building. 12 desks, projector screen, whiteboard. 12 students. I was the oldest by 15 years. Everyone else looked fresh, purpose-driven. Kids starting out. I was the guy starting over. Vasquez stood at the front. Saw me, nodded. Didn't single me out. Just welcomed everyone. Passed out syllabi. Explained the structure. 8 weeks. Night classes, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. Lab practicals on Saturdays. Final exam and certification at the end. This program has a 93% completion rate, Vasquez said. That's because we only accept people who are serious. If you're here, we believe you can make it. Don't prove us wrong. Vasquez pulled me aside after orientation. The other students filtered out, talking, laughing. I stayed in my seat. Dennis, he said, walk with me. We went outside, sat on a bench near the parking lot. He had a folder. My application, probably. Background check results. The credit check came back, he said. There's a flag. Cash advance from a casino, reported as suspected fraudulent activity. My stomach dropped. It wasn't fraud. I took the advance. I just didn't pay it back. I figured. But the flag is there. It doesn't disqualify you from the class. You're enrolled. But for emergency housing, it's a problem. We have 2 spots open. The committee won't place someone with a fraud flag. So I'm on the streets for 8 weeks. Yeah, he said. Not apologizing. Just stating fact. You can still do this. It'll be harder. A lot harder. But you can do it. I thought about the lottery. The 4 out of 14 nights. The cold ground, and the back pain, and the walking, and the exhaustion. Can I still do it? I asked, more to myself than him. That's on you to answer. I looked at the folder in his hands. My application, my background, my mistakes printed out and filed. I'll do it, I said. You sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. He handed me a bus pass. Preloaded, good for the semester. This helps. Student services came through. And if you need to use the gym shower, I'll get you a guest pass. Unofficial. Don't tell anyone. Why are you doing this? Because 7 years ago, someone did it for me. And I didn't believe I deserved it either. He stood. First class is tomorrow. 6 p.m. Don't be late. I wasn't late. I was 40 minutes early. Sat in the classroom, duffel at my feet, waiting. Other students trickled in. They looked at me, looked away. I was the odd one. The old guy. The one who didn't fit. The instructor walked in. White guy, 50s, ball cap, tool belt on his hip, even though this was lecture. His name tag said Frank, different Frank. But the name still stung. Welcome to Electrical Code and Application, he said. I'm Frank Delgado. I've been an electrician for 32 years. I'm here to make sure you don't kill yourself or anyone else when you work with electricity. The class laughed. I didn't. We're starting with basics. NEC updates. Grounding requirements. GFCI installation. Some of you know this already. Some of you don't. Doesn't matter. We're going through it together. He started teaching. And something happened. My hands started tingling. Not pain. Memory. Muscle memory. Wire stripping. Conduit bending. Panel installation. I'd done this for 37 years. My body remembered even when my brain was foggy with exhaustion. Week 1 passed. I missed Tuesday's class. Lost the bed lottery. Spent the night behind a storage facility. Couldn't get to campus in time. Vasquez noticed. Didn't say anything. Just handed me notes from the class I missed. Week 2. I fell asleep during lecture. Jerked awake when my head hit the desk. Everyone stared. Frank kept teaching, didn't call me out. After class, he pulled me aside. You okay? He asked. Yeah. Long day. Were you working? Between jobs, I said. The lie came automatic. You know the code, he said. I can tell. The way you answer questions. You've done this before. 37 years. Union. He nodded. Looked at me different. I'm doing a resi remodel this weekend. Corona. Kitchen and bath. Could use an extra hand. Cash work. You interested? I stared at him. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Saturday. 7 a.m. He wrote an address on a scrap of paper. Don't be late. And Dennis? Get some sleep before then. Saturday morning, I showed up at 6:30. The house was in a nice neighborhood. 2-story, stucco, manicured lawn. Frank's truck was already there, tools laid out in the driveway. You're early, he said. Habit. We worked for 10 hours. Rewiring the kitchen, installing new circuits for appliances, running conduit through the attic. The heat up there was brutal. 110 degrees, insulation everywhere. But I didn't care. I was working. Really working. My hands remembered everything. How to strip wire cleanly. How to twist wire nuts tight. How to run Romex through studs without snagging. Frank watched me for the first hour, then stopped watching. Just let me work. At lunch, we sat in the driveway, eating sandwiches from a cooler. The homeowner, a woman named Linda, not my Linda, different Linda, came out with iced tea. You guys are fast, she said. He's good, Frank said, nodding at me. Knows what he's doing. You do side jobs? She asked, directed at me. Sometimes. My brother needs a kitchen rewire. Fullerton. He'll pay well if you know what you're doing. I looked at Frank. He shrugged. Up to you. Yeah, I said. I can do that. She wrote her brother's number on a napkin. I folded it carefully, put it in my pocket. End of the day, Frank paid me. $200 cash. More than I'd seen in months. Next weekend, if you want it, he said. Got a bathroom remodel in Riverside. I'm there. I walked to the bus stop, $200 in my pocket. Felt like a fortune. I could eat for a week. Could do laundry. Could save some. But there was a 7-Eleven across the street. And I could see the scratch-off display from where I stood. I stood there for 5 minutes. Full battle. The rational part of my brain saying don't. The addict part saying just one. Just a little. You earned it. I walked away. Got on the bus. Rode back to campus. Used the $200 to buy a week's worth of groceries. Protein bars. Apples. Peanut butter. Things I could carry. Things that wouldn't spoil. The next side job came through. Linda's brother paid $300 for 2 days' work. Then another job, a referral. Then another. Over weeks 4 through 7 of the course, I built a small reserve. Not much. Maybe 800 total. But it was something. I rented a P.O. box at a UPS store. $25 a month. Gave me an address for job contacts. Bought a prepaid phone. $30, limited minutes. But it was a phone. I could take calls. Vasquez noticed the change. Week 6, he pulled me aside again. You found housing? He asked. No. Still on the streets. But I'm working weekends. Building some cash. He nodded, impressed. That's good, Dennis. Really good. Keep it up. Week 7, Frank pulled me aside after lab. I got a buddy. Contractor. He's looking for an electrician. Full-time. Starts after you finish the course. Interested? What's it pay? 22 an hour to start. 40 hours a week, sometimes more. Benefits after 90 days. I did the math. $3,500 a month, roughly. Enough to rent a room. Enough to live. There's a catch, Frank said. He needs you to have a permanent address. Within 60 days of hire. Can you do that? 60 days. 2 months. I had $800 saved. Rooms went for $400-500 minimum, first and last month. I'd need $2,000. Yeah, I said. I can do that. Good. I'll set up an interview. After graduation. Graduation was week 8. I made it to every class. Aced every lab practical. My back hurt every day. I slept in the tent twice, at the shelter 6 times, behind buildings the rest. But I showed up. The night before finals, I was at the library, studying, when a notification popped up. Facebook message. From Linda.my Linda. Dennis, it said. Someone tagged your name on an electrician page. Are you working again? Are you okay? I stared at the screen. Couldn't type. Couldn't process. She'd reached out. After everything. After Arizona and Robert and the demolished house. She'd reached out. I closed the laptop. Couldn't deal with it. Not now. Not the night before finals. But the message stayed in my head all night. Graduation was small. 20 people in a classroom. Families on folding chairs. Vasquez at the front with certificates. All 12 of us had finished. I wore a pressed shirt from the shelter, paid $60 for a weekly motel so I could shower and show up clean. Not sustainable, but necessary. When Vasquez called my name, Dennis Mora, I walked up. The students clapped, surprising me. He shook my hand, holding it longer than the others. Proud of you, he said quietly. I nodded, speechless, and returned to my seat. Afterward, I went to the library, logged into Facebook, reread Linda's message. I'm working on okay, I typed. I'm glad, she replied. I saw the electrician work. You're doing what you love. Trying to. She offered a contact, Robert's company in Arizona, good pay. Want the info? She asked. She wasn't pitying me, just opening a door. Yeah, I typed. She sent the name, number, and email. Tell them I referred you. Thank you. Dennis, she wrote. I'm sorry things ended the way they did. But I'm not sorry they ended. You understand? Yeah, I typed. Good luck. I logged out, certificate in my bag, Linda's contact on the screen. For the first time in 2 years, I felt hope. I walked past the Home Depot where Brenda had asked me to leave and headed for the riverbed to find Miguel. He was 4 months sober now. Cleaner setup, better spot. You made it, he said. Yeah. How's it feel? Good strange, I said. You got a plan? Maybe. Job lead. Some money saved. Arizona contact. Choices. Miguel smiled. Better than the lottery. Better than the lottery. I agreed, by the water. I told him everything. Pechanga. The $18,000. The $42,000. The sweeps, the course, the certificate. He listened, then asked, what's next? I don't know, but it feels different now. Like I'm at the bottom of something I have to climb. And I've got a rope this time. And a reason to reach the top. Yeah. The sun set orange and purple over the riverbed. My duffel sat by my feet. The certificate was inside. Linda's message and the contractor's interview next week waited in my phone. The motel rate expired tomorrow, and I'd be back on the street. But this time I had tools, skills, contacts, momentum. Miguel asked, you gonna call Gloria? I thought about the email I carried, worn from folding. Her words, please don't write back. Maybe, I said, if I have good news instead of apologies. That's fair. I still didn't know where I'd sleep tonight, if the contractor would hire me, or if I could save enough in 60 days. But I had the certificate, the phone, Linda's message proving I wasn't erased. Miguel asking what's next instead of what went wrong. I had choices to be by the water's edge. I looked at my reflection. Thinner face, gray beard, eyes tired but not empty. Addiction memory whispered, buy a scratch-off. Instead, I stood still. Miguel packed up his camp stove, giving me space that I thought about Vasquez saying, don't prove us wrong. About Brenda's kindness, Patricia's tough questions, Frank offering work, Linda's contact, Miguel's sobriety. About the electrician's license still valid in my bag, the phone felt heavy. I could call Gloria, or Arizona, or the contractor, or do none of it. But for the first time, the uncertainty didn't feel like falling. It felt like climbing. What are you going to do? Miguel called. I don't know yet, I said, but I'm going to figure it out. Stars came out over the riverbed. Beans and rice cooked somewhere nearby. Miguel stood beside me, silent. Tuesday meeting at St. Mark's? Try means maybe. Maybe means no, he warned. I nodded. I looked at the phone, the reflection in the water, the stars overhead. Then I made a choice. Not the clean redemption arc or the relapse, just the next step. Tomorrow I'd make another. That's all there is. One choice.